Righto, about to ascend the Nut. The old Nut's is a volcanic plug at Stanley, or near Stanley. 143 metres elevation, and I think the track's 400 metres. Here we go on the walk to the Nut. I need to be punished for the amount of food I ate at the pub the other night, especially those banana caramel crepes with ice cream and mousse. I still feel sick. I didn't think I was doing too bad. I had camera gear on the back, but I must have looked old and decrepit because on 2 occasions I had some fit, young-looking chaps tell me, "Keep going, mate, you're doing well. Keep going, keep it up, you're doing well." I think, wow, age must be taking over. Anyway, we made it. There was never any chance I wasn't going to make it unless I died on the way up. My world doesn't work like that. And circumnavigated said Nut. On the track around the Nut, it's a solid uplifting experience. Walking up here, possibly worth it though. The Bass Strait. Melbourne, 195 miles. Carrying on around the Nut, as I already mentioned, only 195 miles, which is about 1,600, 300 k's. 300 lazy kilometres approximately across the Bass Strait. More from the Nut. It's starting to rain a little bit and we've got a fair walk back to where we need to go. So we are probably going to get wet. Then I've got to change some tyres. More from the Nut. It goes on and it goes on. We are still walking around the Nut. It's a little bit cloudy, a little bit gloomy, but you get that and you just got to deal with it. Some spectacular views from up here. I think that's Port Ladder, just across there. Some ore gets carted to there from Rosebery, Zian, solid drive in a truck. Here we go, starting the downward section of what is known as the zigzag track. It's almost as hard going down because it drives your feet into the front of your shoeies. It can be quite painful. This is the least steep section. Most people seem to be taking the dirty old chairlift. However, as my children will tell, it costs money, so find another way. A few black Angus down there on the start of the green. Beautiful place, Stanley. Still on the first section, chairlift. As you do have in Tasmania, just like Maria Island. Cemetery with a view. My style of cemetery. Don't know if they're still putting people in the ground there. I'd have to go and have a look. Down here's the Stanley burial ground. There's been people in the ground there overlooking that section of ocean for a lot of years. A quick walk around. I saw 1840 and I'm now hearing a couple of hundred. Down there's a little walk you go along to have a look at the penguins at night. The penguins coming in to feed the little penguins. There was quite a number of people there last night. The Bass Strait, Melbourne, out that way. Beautiful coloured water. About, maybe a third to a quarter of the way down the Nut. Just making sure I soak up some of these views. Possibility is won't be back, especially as we become aged and infirmed and disease riddled. It's possibly not a track to undertake. Have a look at that. Almost straight down, Batman. Over there you can see the beautiful black Angus just heading out for an afternoon graze. And back around the historic town of Stanley. Of course the Nut pretty much surrounded by water except for this tiny little strip of land here. We're about to embark on what I'm told is the steepest bit The longest and possibly the steepest of the zigzag walk to and from the nut. Of course, on the way up and down the nut, there is an area provided after the first section where the weary and the infirmed can rest. This is one you'll possibly need to rest at. The last section, that's pretty steep, or not quite as steep as the last one. There's no reprieves, no little flatten offs, it's just straight up, straight down. As that old Status Quo song from about 1972 went, down, down, deeper down, get down, deeper down. The last section on the way down, the first section on the way up.
See him, yeah, he's massive. He must be a specific sort of bird.
Solid possibility they're going to be a weed when we find out what they are. Just so I remember, this is kind of at the bottom of the golf club. Still at the bottom of the golf club. A few old beef shitters over there, grazing on the green. And it's just green everywhere. Just one of the tracks around Stanley heads up to Tatlow's Beach. Goes a fair bit further yet. As the nut's been done today, we'll take the easy option. It's getting a bit late. Important ladder over there. There it is, the nut. I think they call this Tatlow's Beach. We never actually got to buy any bread from the Cottage Kitchen bakery in Smithton. However, we purchased some bread in Stanley at the shop, and it was baked in Smithton, and we had it with our Cape Grim beef. It's right up there, as good as St Helens many weeks ago. Good bakery, Cottage Kitchen. Allegedly famous Cape Grim beef and cracked pepper sausages. I'm putting them on very unfamous bread and butter. Next on the agenda, we head into Table Cape with a view to visiting the flower farm and sort out our next accommodation site. So that'll be up next.